First of all, a piece of good news, and I'm quoting a headline from Salon.com. Feminist Thor, that's Thor, the comic book character, Feminist Thor is selling way more, emphasis on the way, is selling way more comic books than Dude Thor. So it turns out when Marvel Comics announced that the superhero Thor would be a woman when the series reboots, there was rage, there was misogyny, there was also, on the internet, as you can imagine, a talk about how stupid it was to replace a male character with a made-up female character, even though they're both made up, and particularly when the character carries a hammer. But the Thor books have gone up in sales, the female Thor books, by 150,862 copies versus 65,513 for the male, last issue of the male. So apparently, female superheroes rock too. I just wanted to share that good news with you.
That is so cool. That's really, that's absolutely the best. I have to tell you, years ago, I think it must have been in the 70s, there was a series of books about dragons. I think it was one of the leading, so one of the early fantasy books that eventually took over, right? Kids literature.
Uh-huh.
But one of the main characters was a female dragon who was the king. And every time someone said, well, how can you be king? She would snap back at them, it's a job, not a gender.
That's great. Yeah, well, apparently so is Thor as a superhero. Now, I got to tell you that there has been, you've been following and teaching us last time you were on about this horrific Gamergate situation, but there was a small, maybe minor, relatively minor, but still horrific pushback on this. There's also, by the way, a Muslim female character named Ms. Marvel that's been introduced. The right wing and the misogynists are going nuts over that too. So there's been a lot of pushback on the right wing comic stuff, and of a very nasty nature. And I think one of the things that a lot of men, even in my line of work, which involves on the internet combat and on air arguments with the right and so on, and nasty Twitter messages and all that, being trolled as it's called. But I think even a lot of male writers have no idea what a phenomenally hostile environment the internet can be for women who express an opinion of any kind. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on what we can do about that, because it's horrific once you start looking into it. It's just absolutely horrifying what people are put through, whether it's the ugliness of the insults. I know that the insults that I receive, can upset me, but the threats and the doxing, as it's called, the releasing of personal information, what can be done to protect women online?
I think we just need to change the culture. I think we also do need to hold doxers, for sure, accountable. That is a very physical threat to the welfare of women and their families and their kids and their pets. I mean, putting personal information online, it actually, frankly, RJ, it started with the anti-abortion violent crowd that started trying to get pictures of healthcare providers that they even suspected were assisting with abortions, put all of their information up online. So now you're doxing women who simply express an opinion. Those individuals who engage in doxing really should be held accountable. I think more than that, the internet space really has been very male dominated, and I think we have an opportunity right now, I think, to change the culture. I think that there's a congressional hearing going on. I think it's right now, or maybe yesterday. Zoe Quinn, she's a developer of online games, and she's testifying at this hearing. So there's growing interest and growing national conversation about abuses of women simply who express their opinion online. So I think we will be able to change the culture, but that's exactly what it is. We need to change the culture.